Welcome, my dear friends, to this very gentle 30-minute vinyasa practice. We'll be targeting the hamstrings a little, and quite often that leads to some irritability in the lower back, so we'll be targeting that area too. Hey, we're going to be starting on our back, lying down. We might need a block, a cushion. I would say definitely a cushion. So grab one of those, maybe two if you've got it, and we'll start lying down. So starting with some version of supported bridge, I suggest grabbing a pillow and making it really, really gentle start to the practice. If you do have a block or something stronger, feel free to use that if you wanted to, but feet on the ground, lift the hips and slide the prop underneath the hips. So it's really going to be quite a mild back bend depending on your pillow. I'm just taking the legs out in front of you. Starting here, wherever you want to place the hands, feel free. Next to the body is always nice with the palms facing up so the shoulders can very subtly start to open. And just take a few moments here to find stillness, to find ease. And let this position encourage a sense of stillness within the body. And let it also bring a heightened sensitivity to the body. So as you start to stop and slow down a little here, gives much more opportunity for a sense of presence. And that's to say you're attentive to just what's happening now. Aware of the experience of now, but projecting that more inwardly towards you. So you're aware of the physical body, you're aware of your energy and the state of your mind, aware of your mood, your attitude, just overall state of being. And as you start to bring observation to it, more of a witness state, it gives you the opportunity to look at it from a different perspective, to have some space from it. And in that, allow you to be very selective in what you do and how you go about it. So here, start to focus in on your breathing. Start to feel your breath. Start to let the inhale come a little bit more deeply into the belly. As you exhale, start to slow it down a little, take a little more time with it. And start to get yourself into a consistent, steady, deep cycle of breath. As you're breathing a little deeper down to the belly space, now start to focus on the texture of your breath. So start to smooth it out. Get rid of all the little stutters and jerks in the breath. Just take one more of those expansive, deliberate, smooth breaths. And then starting to bend the knees, we'll try and keep the breath rolling and consistent. Lift the hips just enough to get rid of the prop. And then drop the knees from side to side, from left to right. Just a couple of times. And then take your right knee up in towards the chest. Take it off to the left into a twist. You might scoot your hips underneath you a little bit more, but really let the right shoulder open out here. So even reaching the right arm up towards the top of your mat, to the top right corner. We'll just take a breath or two more here. And then coming back through center, drawing the left knee up in towards the chest, extending the right leg straight and over into the twist. And again, really opening the left shoulder here, so you're reaching high towards the top left corner. We'll take 2, maybe 3 more breaths here, utilizing the exhalation to soften your belly and deepen the twist. And then coming back through to center, hugging your knees up in towards your chest and rocking yourself up to a seated position. Once you arrive there, come into a cross-legged position. And just for a moment here, wrap the left arm behind your lower back. Take your right hand up over the head. And as you begin to squeeze your left shoulder back, tilt the head over to the side. Nice little opening for the neck. Now, be super gentle on the neck, really sensitive, kind of fragile area of the body. Take 2 to 3 more deep breaths, sort of playing with the position, tilting the chest, or the chin rather, up and then down, keeping the shoulder away from the ear. Just for 1 more big breath here. And then release to switch. Now, no sudden movements in between, but wrap your right arm behind the lower back. Make sure the neck is settled before you grab the top of the head and take it over to the side. Again, squeezing the right shoulder back a little here, and then thinking about lifting the chin up and down a little. Go slow, especially on the transition, sort of stopping at little sticky spots on the way through, taking time with one spot and then another. Just a breath or 2 more here. And then releasing the arm. Make sure the neck is completely settled before you come into all fours. Tabletop position. Cat-cow to follow. Taking an inhale to press the belly down. Puff the chest forward and look up. And then really tilt the tailbone down to start the spinal movement, rippling and rolling up through the spine into angry cat. And keep on going. 1 breath to 1 movement now. Inhale dips the belly. Exhale arches through the spine. You're just finding a little bit of breath and movement together so that you're finding a kind of somatic coherence. Somatic coherence. So through the movement itself, the body, the mind, the breath is all coordinated into one fluid movement. And with that, you're achieving a kind of flow state, a kind of presence where you're completely interactive with yourself, with your body, you're sensitive to it, and the focus is very centered on the now. Just take 1 more round, dipping the belly, arching up through the spine, and then coming through downward facing dog. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips, nice and strong through the shoulders. You might start to pedal a little in down dog, even swaying the hips from side to side. I like to kind of make a movement here that feels like a figure 8 with my hips, bending through one knee and then the other. There's a little bit of sway side to side. It's kind of more of a pushing back of the sitting bones as the legs are straight. We'll just take a breath or 2 more here and down dog, really kind of settling into it. And then walking the hands towards your feet into a forward fold, a very gentle forward fold. So bend the knees, and that's kind of going to be a common thread going through the rest of the practice. Anytime you need to take some tension out of a forward fold, keep a little bend in the knees, especially if you've got a tender lower back, keep a bend in the knees. Relax through the neck, relax through the shoulders. We'll just take 1 or 2 more breaths here. And then ever so gently, bend the knees deeper as you roll up the spine, super slow, rolling up each vertebrae, head comes up, arms reach up, reaching for the ceiling, and then catching opposite elbows above your head. Really pull the elbows back a little, squeeze your butt and lean over to your left into a side bend. Just a breath more here, very short hold. Back through to center and over to the other side, little side bend. Now back through center, keep the arms. Start to lean again to your left, but as you come over into the side bend, now start to turn your chest down towards the floor. Starting to bow forward, roll the chest all the way down, come through center, and then roll up the other side. So the left shoulder lifts as you come back up, all the way back up through to center, and then we go down the other way again. So down to the right, side bend, folding forward as you come through, rolling, rounding up through the other side. Pause at the top and raise the arms towards the ceiling, and then gently fold forward, hands to the ground. Walk the hands out to plank position, shoulders above your wrists. Lower the knees to the ground and flatten yourself all the way out until you're on the floor. Take the hands just off the side of the mat, but keep the palms flat for this one. Inhale, lift the chest, straightening the arms as best as you can, but then releasing the chest straight back down. So don't push your spine so much, but definitely maybe take it into a slightly larger back bend than you might be used to in Cobra. Sort of heading towards more seal. But again, find your intelligent edge here and just take a few more rounds, lifting and lowering. As you're doing this, keep the feet nice and pointed, quite firm through the ankles. And just take one more round, lift and lower. And this time as the chest comes down, go back through child's pose. Take your time settling the hips to the heels. Just a breath or two more there in child's pose. And again, coming back up into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. And once you're up into downward facing dog, go ahead and start to walk towards the top of the mat. Feet towards the hands, little steps, sort of feeling out the hamstrings a little. That's the back of the legs. And once you've walked the feet up, we're going to go back. Now, we're going to take a little more integrity here. So either come to fingertips or the palms if you can. Now, if you need to bend the knees to get the palms down, do that. Do it a lot if you need. And keep the hips lifted as you start to take little steps back, keeping the shoulders above your wrists. We're walking this all the way back to plank. Little steps, shoulders above the wrists. Good. And once you've stepped all the way back into plank, hold for just one more big breath. A little bit of activation here. And then lower the knees and come all the way back down onto the floor. Again, hands off the side of the mat, but now you might move them back a few more inches, maybe in line with your armpits. And inhale, lift the chest. And exhale to take it back down. A few more rounds. This time keep the thighs nice and tight, lifting and lowering. Keep a little tension through your butt as well. Keep on moving. We'll do 2 more rounds. Lift, lower, moving with the breath. Last one, lift. And as the chest comes down, push back through tabletop, all fours, and straight up into down dog now. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Go ahead and step your right foot between the hands. Lower the back knee down to the floor and raise the arms up towards the ceiling here. Reaching them up nice and high now. Just simply touching palms together. But try and drop your shoulder blades a little here. Pinch the biceps, your upper arms towards your head. Pinch them in towards your head, clamping your head, but still pulling the arms back. So they're coming together, but pulling back, and the shoulders drop down. There's a bit going on. Keep the tension through your left glute, the butt cheek. I'm just trying to feel this really long line from your left knee all the way up the left side of your leg into your belly, through the chest, through the arms, into the hands. We'll take one more big breath here. And sweet release. Release the hands, straighten through the front leg. Lifting the front toes. Now, a couple of choices here. You can either stay in half Hanuman, but if you can, start to send your hips back to maybe sit on your back foot. You might tuck the foot in so it becomes a little foot seat. And once you've arrived, a little lift of the chest to then fold forward. Now in this sort of shape, especially in these deeper forward folds, we might keep that really big bend in the knee and maybe return the cushion into play. Super nice position with the cushion underneath the knee. You can really soften through the shoulders. The whole trick with forward folds to keep it kind of nice and healthy for the spine is to create just a little bit of lift through the lower back. Just a little lift through the lower back. Now the shoulders can soften, the neck can soften, but the effort is in the lower back area, the kind of pelvic area. And you might feel as you create just a little bit of lift through the lower back, the belly naturally wants to suck in. Run with that sensation. Now try and invite the breath in. So we've got a nice smooth, slow breath. There's a little bit of effort happening through the lower back. A whole lot of softness through the shoulders and neck. We'll just take a breath or two more here. And lift the chest. Get rid of any props you might have and slowly walk the hands forward until you find runner's lunge. Bend the front knee, lift the back knee. Once you're there, right hand raises up into simple twist. Staying here for just 3 breaths. A little bit of injection of energy into it. Let's take one more big breath now. And one of 2 choices, either side plank or wild thing. If it's side plank, stack the right leg on top of the left. If it's wild thing, step the foot behind, turn the hips and lift. A big breath in there. And as you bring the right hand down to the floor, drop your knees, lower all the way down till you're flat. Just like before, hands maybe back a little bit more or where they were just a moment ago, and inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, lower down. 2 more of those to go. Inhale, lift. Lower. Last one, keep the butt somewhat tight. Lift. Lower. Back into tabletop, all 4s. Down dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and step the left foot between the hands. Drop the back knee. Just a little bit of effort. Arms up. Reach the fingertips for the ceiling. So we've got lots of different directions happening in the body here. Lots of contrast. Let's work with it. So squeeze your right butt cheek, pull the belly in, and then lift the rib cage, lift the arms, but then as you drop the shoulders, pinch your head a little. And then there's quite a lot going on there, right? Lower body's fairly active, upper body's really active. Now we try and invite the breath in. Smoothness in a shape like this where we've got a fair bit of effort going on. A breath or 2 more here. And then releasing, hands to the ground, straightening through the front leg as far back as you want to take your hips. If you can, sit on the foot. And hey, you might have 2 cushions, one underneath your butt, kind of underneath your foot as well, and one underneath this front knee. A little lift of the chest as you're folding in. And once you're there, so there's quite the balance between effort and ease. A little bit of elevation through the lower back here. Belly naturally draws in. It feels to me like the chest moves forward a little. Feels like the belly button is kind of coming down the thigh a little. It's kind of just imaginary. It feels like that kind of extension through the lower back, but then real softness through the shoulders, through the jaw, through the neck. Pinky toe is still lifting here. And then we invite the breath in. We give a nice, smooth, slow exhalation. So you can feel when you've got this little bit of effort in the posture, the breath can kind of go shaky and jerky pretty quickly. So we want to find that balance. You've got the effort, holding the shape, pinky up, a little bit of effort through the lower back, softness through the shoulders, smooth exhalation. 2, maybe 3 more breaths. And lifting up the chest nice and slow. Get rid of your prop and walk the hands forward, coming into runner's lunge to then find simple twist. So back leg gets super active and stiff. Left hand raises up. Really turning the shoulder back. Just a couple of breaths here. And then either side plank or wild thing. Left leg back on top of the right, or step it behind the leg. Turn the hips, lift through the chest. A breath or two more here. And coming through plank. So left hand comes down to the floor. Drop your knees. Come all the way down until you're flat. And again, last time, hands off the side, point the toes, lift the chest. Exhale, lower. 2 to go. A little bit of tension through the butt, lift. Exhale, lower. Last one, inhale up. And coming down, releasing the chest back through tabletop. And this time, just taking either the legs to the side or cross your ankles, sit your butt down and take your legs out nice and wide. So into a seated position now, legs out nice and wide. Once you're there, toes lift, chest lifts, and then a feeling of trying to roll your butt back, roll your tailbone up to the ceiling, lifting the chest and then walking the hands out, bringing the chest forward and down here. Softening through the eyes, through the jaw. In a shape like this, you've got plenty of space, kind of with the belly being open. So not necessarily needing to collapse your chest down here, but however far forward you've folded, keeping some sort of, again, length in the lower back. And you feel that keeps the belly space a little more open. And then it becomes this kind of open pathway for the breath to come in slowly, smoothly, deeply. All the qualities that we want to engage the softening of the nervous system. Start to regulate your heart rate and slow it down. These deeper breaths starting to reduce blood pressure. And since they're conscious breaths, they're steadying the mind. Since the mind is focused inwardly here on you in this moment with a general motivation of well-being. I'll just take another couple here now. Completely soft through the jaw and the neck. So to lift the chest, walk the hands back. Coming out of that shape nice and slow. Join the legs together and then just taking a moment in reverse tabletop. So hands come just behind the hips, turn the hands out a little, feet on the ground. Roll back the shoulders, really active through the shoulders, then scoop the butt up, squeeze the butt, lift the hips. Take 2, maybe 3 more breaths here. And release, coming down nice and slow. Once you've come down, scooch the butt back, extend the legs out in front of you. Not such a long hold here, but scooch the sitting bones back a little, raise the arms. Again, really nice opportunity to throw the pillow underneath the knees. I might actually do that. And once you've lifted the chest, fold forward and bring the chest into a nice sort of soft position, or the upper back gets a little bit more rounded. And in this one, make it a way floppier forward fold now. Just let the entire back chain of the body feel like it's elongating. So not trying to focus on just the hamstrings, the back of the legs, or or just the shoulders or lower back, but just letting the whole line be pretty soft from the ankles all the way to the neck. And with that kind of softness, make sure you're not pushing or straining, you're not at your maximum flexibility range. So really encouraging that bend in the knees. Get floppy here and we'll stay for just maybe 5 more big breaths. Next inhale, lift up the chest. One of two choices, kind of polarizing a little bit. We're going to come down onto the back into an inversion. Choice 1 is just to lie down, lift the legs, take the pillow with you. Choice 2, straight into plow pose. Quite strong, but if you want to take it, please take it and I'll guide you through. You roll down, you lift the hips, take the legs up over the head, supporting the hips, and then maybe the toes are coming down towards the ground. Either way, legs are lifted in some fashion. Now, especially if you're in plow, lift the lower back, wriggle the elbows a little more together, and keep a sense of lift with your butt towards the ceiling. You can soften the knees if you're in plow. But try and take at least 5, 6, 7 more breaths in whichever shape you're in. And then releasing the legs down to the floor, nice and slow. Easy does it. Once you've come out of that, get rid of any props that you might have. Take a moment, making sure that the spine feels relaxed, and when you're ready, drop the knees from side to side a couple of times. Taking the right knee up in towards the chest and guiding it over to the left into a twist. Taking the right arm nice and high up to the right corner, right where we started. And again, letting the twist deepen through a softening in your exhalation. Let the belly soften, let the right shoulder soften. One more breath here. Back through center, onto the other side. Left knee coming in. Taking it over. Left shoulder opening out. And really do look for the deepening of the twist on the exhale here. I'll try and take just 2 more breaths. And then coming back through to center. Finding happy baby or just a squeeze of the knees in towards your chest, whatever feels kind of nice there. And shavasana to follow. A couple of suggestions. Maybe you'd like to be in supported bridge for shavasana, back with a pillow underneath your hips, or even supported fish might be really nice. Either way, do try and take at least a few minutes in shavasana, 4 to 5 as a bare minimum. If you've got 10, try and give it. Once you're lying down, lying still, lying flat, just take a moment. Take a moment to acknowledge the transition into complete stillness. Let the body start to feel heavy into the floor. Start to concentrate more on a feeling space within you, not an analyzing space or trying to describe the moment in what's going on. Just feeling the body at ease, feeling the body at rest, and simply staying with that. See if you can stay with yourself in that intimate atmosphere. Really try and give yourself a couple of minutes here to rest. It's a pleasure and honor, as always, to guide you through your practice. I'll say namaste, and I'll see you next time.